Welcome back, Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics as Non-Classic. This is episode number 961 and Doubleshot number 855. This is my second attempt at doing this video because the other one could not save for some reason. I don't know why. Yep, I have two trades here, one DC, one Marvel. First up, it is Batman vs. Deathstroke, containing Deathstroke Volume 4, Issues 30 to 35. Written by Christopher Priest and co-written by Larry Hama, the guy who currently writes G.I. Joe American Hero. Yeah, I believe he's the creator of it. Along with these following artists. Of course, he also helped with them the artwork as well. You have Carlo Pagalion, Ed Baines, and Roberto Felicia, who do the interiors. The cover art here is on the cover of this trade. This is done by Lee Weeks and Brett Anderson. Yep. Now the storyline is this. Okay, we have it where Batman's come across, basically thanks to working with Commissioner Gordon at a crime scene, that apparently there's an envelope with his name on it. And what's inside of it? Paternal test results that say that Deathstroke is the father of his only child. Batman knows this bullcrap because he has done his own paternal test. And yeah, he knows these tests are fake. And apparently he shows a Deathstroke, and Deathstroke kind of convinced that he's the father, but not really. He is not the father. And of course, when Damien confronts him about this, Batman says, "Yes, I am your father, despite what that paternal test says," because it's a lie. All done by Talia to get into Batman's head. Yep, and she decided at one point in the storyline to make out with Deathstroke for absolutely no reason. Yep, that's why she's doing this. Probably to play with Batman, because that's the way Talia is. Though, I'm thinking, no, okay, she's the head of her organization and she wants to play mind games with the father of her only child. Okay, fine. But the chemistry between the two in the book is really good. Now, those were thinking, okay, despite the fact that the previous story before this one ended with him going to Arkham Asylum, and you're like, okay, you have Batman vs. Deathstroke, which they actually announced prior to this, and you're probably thinking, what, we're not going to deal with him Arkham Asylum, we're having to fight Batman for some reason? Well, here's kind of the thing. This is a storyline that Christopher Priest actually wanted to do a couple years prior to this, but Dark Knight's Metal got in the way. He was trying to work with Scott Snyder on this. Like, he was going to write he was going to write Deathstroke, and of course Scott Snyder was going to write Batman. And then, because messing the way, he basically wrote the whole storyline himself, writing both sides of the whole thing. And yeah, this is a really good storyline, despite the fact the premise is kind of bullcrap. Yep. It's all based upon a lie. But have these two fight each other like this is fantastic. I'm surprised this wasn't a crossover with Batman. Yeah, when I heard this storyline was announced, I thought that this was going to be a crossover between Deathstroke and Batman. Nope, it's just an arc in Deathstroke for some reason. Probably because Tom King wanted nothing to do with this. That could be the reason, but I never got a chance to ask about that. Though the arc that comes right after this is, of course, the storyline Arkham, which ends with him basically breaking out, and of course that leads into the Technus contract storyline crossover with Teen Titans, and then RIP, which is the current thing. Yeah, this book was like $25. But I really wanted to review this for something because this storyline is really good, despite its premise being bullcrap. Yeah. But I give this book roughly a 9.5. I think it's really good. The only way it doesn't give a full 10 because the premise is bullcrap. Yep. Next up we have Astonishing XMen until our starts stop. This collects Astonishing XMen Volume 4, Issues 13 and 17, and number 1. Written by Matthew Rosenberg. Now, the issues themselves written by the Tracer Greg Land, and the artwork and the annual was done by Trevor Foreman. The storyline is this: Havoc wants to put together his own X-Men to find some secret weapon, and he recruits these following people. He tries to recruit students. Kitty Pryde wants nothing of it, despite the fact hey, aren't you a former villain you wanted for something? Yeah, and students basically point out to him and says, yes, I actually have done stuff I have regretted doing. Now, Havoc had been restored to normal thanks to, of course, happening in the second to last arc, X-Men Blue. Thank Colin Bunn for following that up, because at least he bothered to do something with something Rick Remender left hanging, because he had to abruptly leave Marvel Comics after the Hell Hydra miniseries was released. Yeah, one of two writers who actually about give a damn about anything recommended left hanging. Yep. I actually left three things hanging, which was the whole thing with Red Skull, one of them being Rogue's Head, which basically two of those storylines wrapped up toward the end of Gary Duggan's run for King of the Avengers, and of course, Matthew Rosberg followed something that actually Colin Bunn followed up with what happened with that in X-Men Blue. Now, Havoc was inverted and his face was heavily scarred. It's been like this since the end of the Planet X story, since the end of the Apocalypse storyline, his face being scarred. Him being inverted, it's been happening since Access. And I'm kind of like, yeah, but prior to that storyline coming out, he had not done anything in 3 years. And his last appearance prior to that was in one-off issue of Astonishing XMen, which that was in a period of time with series of heavy delays for no reason. And now he's here on an X-Men team. First time since 2008. Yeah, first time since 10 years when Ed Brubaker was in the book. We also have, here are the other members. Dazzler. First time she's been part of a team, an X-Men team, since Bendis was writing Getting X-Men. Though I'm glad she's back this costume. I like this costume better than that shredded outfit she was wearing in that run. We have Colossus, who was just featured in X-Men Gold. Got moved over here. Beast, first time active as an X-Men part of a team since the first arc of All New X-Men, because apparently all the X basically want nothing to do with him because he brought the original 5 X-Men to present. We have Warpath coming off of his time with Weapon X, and prior to that, the last group he was part of was part of the Security Recon team for X-Men Volume 3, and that was the last time he was part of the X-Men group. And yeah, that's simply the lamp. Basically, it shrunk down from a 10-person lamp to a 5-person lineup. Though, none of the members from the previous roster are actually part of this roster for some reason. I don't know why. Normally, they do keep characters on roster for when they change writers. Yeah. Now, Havoc finds out a bunch of things about the Office of National Emergency, aka 1. The fact that they work with the Ravers, a group of cyborg mercenaries, who are old enemies of the X-Men, and Donald Pierce is leading them again, despite that he's supposed to be dead, when he was killed by Havoc's own brother Cyclops in Second Coming by being blasted by his optic blast. As for how the heck he's alive, well, he's a freaking cyborg, so that can kind of explain it. Yep, and apparently the main villain of the storyline, now the main villain is not the Ravers, no, it's actually a guy named John Callahan, who, and this guy is a bigot. Like, oh my gosh, he's a bigot. I mean, he apparently has kidnapped, murdered, tortured mutants. Even experiments on them. Yeah, and later revealed that Havoc had tapes of this, even though he was bluffing. Yeah, at one point he wanted to arrest the X-Men because of the Xavier School for Outreach and Education was in Central Park, basically government land. He wanted to arrest them for harboring a criminal, or at least committing crimes, alleged crimes, because he's a freaking bigot. He's a military general. And I'm like, okay, so Havoc's like, I surrender. I surrender to you, and I don't release footage of your crimes, and you leave these people alone. We're like, okay. Also, at one point in the storyline, Beast is taken captive by him. And he points out, though, like when he first shows up in here, basically a Raver tries to kill him, and apparently he's number 1 on the list for some reason. And Havoc is number 36. Even he questions, like, really? He's a long-time member of the X-Men. Why is he number 36? And he asks, like, who's number 35? Helion. And he's like, who the heck is Helion? At least I know who he is. As far as I know, him and Helion never met. Nope, they never did. Yep, and of course they have Ravers also piloting Sentinel for some reason. I don't know why. And yeah, and of course I figured out what the heck is going on. And of course trying to end sort of abruptly, of course they're being arrested. And Kitty Pryde tells them like, don't worry, we're gonna free you at some point. They don't. Rosenberg does follow up in his run for X-Men, where he gets rescued by his resurrected dead brother Cyclops. Yep. But at least got praise Rosenberg for not leaving Prop Thread hanging, and General Callahan is a villain for basically Matthew Rosenberg's run for X-Men. Which I hope at some point John Callahan gets killed by Wolverine for all of the... Either gets killed or at least arrested for his crimes against humanity. Yep. And what about the annual? It's just most of the original 5 X-Men, minus Cyclops. And this, of course, comes right after Charles Schulz one for this series, and the Return of the Phoenix Resurrection Jean Grey miniseries, which Rosberg wrote that. It's Jean Grey's first encounter with most of the original 5 X-Men after Resurrection. And it's a great meeting until Charles Xavier shows up as X, because, well, that's what happened in Charles Schulz run. And they go to this town to free it from Lucifer. You're probably thinking, who the heck is Lucifer? And is he like the devil Lucifer? Is he the character from DC Comics? Nope, completely unrelated character. And this character made his debut back in the 60s. He is actually an alien who was responsible for Charles Xavier being put into a wheelchair. Yeah, he's the one who crippled him. Yep. And let's see. Yeah, they end up killing him in the storyline. Apparently, they also killed this whole town, which apparently they're under his control. And apparently, killing him apparently killed the whole town. And at the end of the storyline, but prior to the last page of the issue, they apparently want nothing to do with their former mentor. And they say they go back to the nightclub, the club again. And, well, he's like, oh yeah, I know the dress code. Of course, first time he shows up, wears basically a white t-shirt and pants. This time he wears a Hawaiian shirt, which I thought was so funny. And I like the fact that Warren basically wears a suit, which I thought was quite nice. And this story is really good. It's a nice wrap-up for the series, though this came out halfway through this arc. Yep, I'm going to give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. And surprisingly, Greg Land's artwork is very tame. Yeah, because here's the thing about this. Greg Land is known for his tracing, and the fact he's publicly admitted he's tracing from porn. Yeah, I'm sure Rosberg probably knew about that and be like, don't do any tracing in my work, please. And he probably gave him specific instructions, basically not to do this, not to do that. I'm sure Greg Land didn't like that, but apparently he did, because if you read this, like, his artwork is very tame in these issues compared to previous works like Ultimate Power or his run for Kenny X-Men. Yeah. But this is good. Final thoughts on this run? Fantastic series. Loved it. I like the fact that they actually brought back this series like in June of 2017, and then they ended it last year. When this thing ended, I was like, what? Okay, so issue 17 is the last issue of the series? Okay, so that means it's shorter than the last volume, but at least it was longer than the first 2 volumes of the series. Now, I was confused about this. I actually asked Matthew Rosenberg about this on my Comic-Con last month, and he said that the reason why it ended because he's moving over to Kenny X-Men, which of course he did. Which he did the first 10 issues of that with Ed Bronson and Kelly Thompson. Then, of course, with issue 11 he did by himself. And at least he actually followed up with the ending of the storyline, well, by having Cyclops rescue him, and of course having General Callahan appear in the story in that run. I think he's supposed to be a villain, and either two things are going to happen at the end of Rosenberg's run. 1, Callahan's going to get arrested for his crimes against humanity, or 2, Wolverine's going to kill him, because I highly doubt they're going to have Cyclops kill him. Yeah, I highly doubt that. So yeah, not much else to say about this, but this, of course, is really good. So how did the series go? Especially since this was really, really good. I loved it. Fantastic. So yeah, that's it for this particular review. I have 2 more videos, hopefully coming today. And one, of course, being another Comic Corner, and of course, being a review of news chapter My Hero Academia. Okay? But do you see you next view. Bye.